The Galactic Council chambers fell silent as Ambassador Kelthera of the Zephyrian Empire concluded her presentation. Her crystalline voice had painted humanity as a species of pacifists, conflict-averse beings who had somehow stumbled into spacefaring. Civilization through sheer luck rather than any martial prowess. As you can see from our cultural analysis, Kelthera gestured to the holographic displays showing Earth's recent decades, humans have evolved beyond their primitive warlike nature. They now prioritize commerce, art, and diplomacy. Their military forces are ceremonial at best, a vestige of their barbaric past that they maintain purely for tradition. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The Vraxian Trade Consortium nodded their bulbous heads approvingly, while the insectoid hive queens clicked their mandibles in what passed for applause among their species. Even the normally skeptical Titan-born delegates seemed convinced by the presentation. "This is why," Kelthera continued, her tone growing more confident, "we propose that humanity be classified as a protected species under Galactic Code 7 Alpha. They clearly lack the temperament for the harsh realities of interstellar politics. We must shelter them from the more aggressive aspects of our civilization." The chamber buzzed with discussion. Protected species status would effectively make humanity a ward of the Galactic Council, stripped of voting rights and military autonomy. It was a kind prison, comfortable, but a prison nonetheless. Admiral Sarah Chen, Earth's representative, had remained seated throughout the presentation, her weathered face impassive. At 62, she had seen enough diplomatic theater to recognize a setup when she witnessed one. The other species weren't being benevolent, they were being predatory. A protected species classification would open Earth's resources to protective oversight, while neutering any human objections. As the Council prepared to vote, Chen noticed movement in the observer section. A figure in civilian clothes was rising from the back row, someone who shouldn't have been there according to the approved delegation list. The man was elderly, perhaps 70, with silver hair and a slightly stooped posture. He wore a simple, black suit that looked like it had seen better days. Nothing about him suggested military service, yet something in his bearing made Admiral Chen's breath catch. "Point of order," the old man called out, his voice carrying despite its quiet tone. Kelthera's crystalline features flickered with annoyance. "The observer section is not permitted to address the Council during formal proceedings." "I'm not speaking as an observer," the man replied, pulling something from his jacket pocket. "I'm invoking Article 12 of the Galactic Military Accord, the right of any decorated veteran to address allegations against their species' martial capability." He held up a small medal, its surface worn smooth by decades of handling. The chamber's sensors immediately identified it, and gasps echoed throughout the assembly. The Terra Campaign Star, only awarded to those who had served in the most brutal conflicts in human history. "My name is Colonel Marcus Webb, retired," the old man said, his voice steady but carrying an undertone that made several alien delegates shift uncomfortably. 43 years of service, including tours on Kandahar, Sarajevo, and the DMZ. I've been listening to this presentation with considerable interest." Kelthera's bioluminescent patterns flickered rapidly, a sign of stress among her people. "Your past military service, while noted, doesn't invalidate our comprehensive cultural analysis of your species' current—" "Ma'am," Webb interrupted, and something in that single word made the chamber fall dead silent. "With respect, your analysis is about as comprehensive as a tourist's snapshot." He began walking down the aisle, each step deliberate and measured. Despite his age, there was something predatory in his movement that activated deep, primitive warning systems in the assembled aliens. You studied our recent decades and concluded we've evolved beyond conflict, Webb continued. You looked at our reduced military budgets, our diplomatic initiatives, our cultural exports of music and movies. You saw what you wanted to see. The old soldier reached the speaking platform and turned to face the assembly. When he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of centuries of human warfare. What you missed is that humans don't avoid strife because we're weak. We avoid it because we've gotten very, very good at it. The holographic displays shifted, responding to Admiral Chen's override commands. New images appeared. The trenches of World War I, the beaches of Normandy, the jungles of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan. Every human child learns about these conflicts, Webb said, not because we glorify war, but because we understand its cost. We've spent millennia perfecting the art of killing each other, and in doing so, we've learned exactly why we shouldn't. More images flashed. Hiroshima, Dresden, Stalingrad, Rwanda. You see, distinguished delegates, humans don't maintain small military forces because we're peaceful. We maintain small military forces because we've learned that a little bit of human military capability goes a very long way. The Vraxian delegate leaned forward, confusion evident in his translator's voice. Are you suggesting that your species' reduced military spending indicates greater, rather than lesser, martial capability? Webb's smile was thin and cold. Sir, the United States alone possesses enough nuclear weapons to render this entire sector uninhabitable. Our reduced military budget is larger than the next 10 species combined. Our ceremonial forces have been conducting active operations in 17 star systems that you don't even know are contested. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Kelthera's crystalline form had gone completely dark, the Zephyrian equivalent of panic. But more importantly, Webb continued, raising his voice above the commotion, you fundamentally misunderstood what makes humans dangerous. It's not our weapons, though they're impressive. It's not our numbers, though we breed faster than any other spacefaring species. It's our absolute refusal to surrender when our backs are against the wall. He gestured to the historical images still rotating above the assembly. Every one of these conflicts taught us the same lesson. When humans are cornered, when our homes are threatened, when our freedom is at stake, we don't just fight. We adapt. We innovate. We find ways to win that no one thought possible. We turn disadvantages into weapons and desperation into strategy. The old colonel's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. Yet every being in the chamber heard him clearly. So, by all means, vote for your protected species classification. Put us in your comfortable cage. But understand this. The moment you try to lock that door, you'll discover exactly why every predator species in our galaxy's history learned to give humans a very wide berth. Webb returned to his seat in absolute silence. After a long moment, the Galactic Council quietly tabled the motion for further review. It was never brought up again.